Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Nick Cage Fight podcast, where we surmise, for your listening pleasure, how the true meaning of Christmas is an appreciation of Nick Cage movies. We do this because we here at the Nick Cage Fight podcast would sincerely like to wish you and yours very happy holidays. I'm one of your hosts, Josh, joined as always with Rich and Ryan. How are we all today?
Humbug.
I agree with that sentiment. How about you, Rich?
I'm just thinking about Kanye West. I hope he's doing okay.
I know, buddy. It's okay.
I hope he gets his Akira volumes back. He did complain about that once, and that was the only time I felt sympathy for him in the past few years.
Wait, what happened?
Apparently, he left his copy of the Kodansha hardcover box set of Akira by Katsuhiro Otomo, the greatest manga of all time, at the Kardashian house, and he has not gotten it back yet.
Yeah, they threw that shit out. They had no idea what that was. I guarantee you.
I mean, shit,
absolutely.
That's like a $200 box set. Can't just chuck that. It's good shit in there.
He can replace it. Time to go dumpster diving at the Kardashians. So we're going to be desperately trying to wrap up Christmas Carol, the movie, the 2001 PG retreading of exactly what you expect from the Christmas Carol. You know it. Maybe you love it. We were not super psyched about this one, and it played out that way. But the good thing is, on this episode, we're going to cover the ghosts, which is indisputably the most interesting part of the Christmas Carol story, at least to me. So Scrooge, when we last left him, had gone home from the office for the evening. He had brought Nurse Belle's letter with him, but had not read it. The mice are conspired. There's two of them now. And they're conspiring to try and get him to read this letter. I'm not sure why, what stake the mice have in this whole game, or what the second one's story even is in the first place. I'm not sure if the one that visits the kids and the one that is primarily in Scrooge's office are the two separate mice, or if one of them is just the first mouse's friend. I'm not certain, but they're doing some work with a letter. Regardless, Scrooge takes the letter, looks like he's intending to read it, and then immediately falls asleep, which sometimes, I can relate a little bit. Sometimes when I'm like, I'm going to lay down, I'm going to read this book, and then immediately pass out. I do want to take a moment, because we've talked about fancy pajamas several times on this podcast before. Scrooge has some fancy pajamas, including the sleeping hat, which I believe we have also discussed on this podcast. And I think that we had settled on the contention that you're supposed to take off the sleeping cap at bedtime, but Scrooge does not appear to do this. I think he passes out hat on.
I was under the impression it's just because older houses were cold and you wanted something on your head.
That's odd. I don't know that I've ever slept through a night with a hat on, even if it was cold. But look, to each their own. If you sleep with a hat on, tell us about it on social media, and we can ask you what the deal is with that. However, shortly after falling asleep, the ghost of Christmas past shows up and wakes up Scrooge, which again displays just an extraordinary amount of contempt for the supernatural, because he's basically like, yeah, it's great you're a ghost. I'm gonna go back to sleep. I'm tired. And then the ghost immediately scares them awake. So this ghost is like a green candle flame lady, and she goes between looking like a young-ish ghost flame lady to a very old ghost flame lady. The transitions are a little bit startling, and this is what she uses to wake Scrooge when he's just like, I want to go back to bed.
Yeah, she's like a weird shapeshifter.
Yeah,
it scares him a bit, and if I was 6, I'd be a little bit scared of this lady too.
Honestly, all of these ghosts are fucking terrifying to me. If any of them appeared as apparitions, I would have tried to beat them to death with a crowbar. I can tell you that.
I don't know. I'd party with Ghost of Christmas Present. He seems like he can put a few down.
I feel like he could put too many down, and I don't know. He seems like he'd be a rowdy drunk. That's just my impression.
I get Andre the Giant vibes from him.
Yeah. Also, look, Andre the Giant, I think is a very interesting dude and legendary in his capacity for drink. But I am not the largest person in the world, and I just wouldn't feel comfortable getting drunk around somebody who could grip my head like a basketball. I get kind of mouthy just in general, even when I'm not drinking. So I feel like I would pop off with a a joke that maybe was taken the wrong way, and then suddenly I'm being launched as if from a catapult. Not for me. Now, all of the ghosts that we see for any duration have a weird horn-like implements, right? I say that because it's a little bit different. Ghost of Christmas Past has like a gigantic candle snuffer because she's like a candle flame. And then Ghost of Christmas Present has some sort of cornucopia. I think that's what it's supposed to be. But just pointing it out, it seems to be one of the focus items for their ghost magic. I don't know. Just trying to dig into the world building here a little bit.
Man.
So we get a look at Scrooge's past, which again, I think the point of this is to explain why he is the way he is and why perhaps, he deserves this shot at redemption. It doesn't come across that way to me personally. I just don't feel for Scrooge too much. So we get a Christmas when he's very young, where basically his dad's like, no Christmas, only boarding school, and sends the kid away to boarding school, which that shit costs money. The boarding schools, aren't they supposed to be nice? I don't know. I was never sent to a boarding school.
This is one of the reasons why it's hard to feel for Scrooge, at least nowadays, which is he comes from a lot of money. His dad is just a dick. A lot of people I know came from money and their dad is a dick. And they have not once tried to rob an orphanage.
Yeah. Not an ounce of rebellion in Scrooge's whole body. But yeah, he gets sent to a boarding school, and then we fast forward a couple of years, and he's coming home, and his sister Fan, I guess, is sent to collect him from boarding school, and she's brought along her friend Belle, Nurse Belle. In the future, I guess she becomes a nurse, and they pick up Scrooge from boarding school and bring him home for Christmas. And at this point, like when he arrives home, his dad is a dick to him. He's like, yeah, so did you learn at school? Because we sent you away and you were kind of like a little shit, and are you now a man? And he's like, well, yeah. He's like, did you learn how to do business? Just weirdly non-specific. And he's like, yeah. And his dad's like, good, because we're sending you to work at the business place.
At the business place, and you will send half of your paycheck home because nothing is free.
Yeah, I mean that.
So he's just robbing them. He is just committing wage theft at this point.
Yeah, I get it, because like it's apparent that his family comes from money, but like kids kicking in for the family and stuff, I understand that to a certain extent, just because that is what happens in poor family households. But this just seems like fiscal punishment for no good reason.
This is just, you're gonna send me money because I think it's funny,
essentially. Or to like teach you a lesson, like enforced hardship for whatever fucking reason.
Oh yeah, no, he is teaching him to be a libertarian, and that's it.
Yeah, yes.
This guy is training Scrooge to think that taxation is theft.
But then we cut to the next Christmas after that, I'm assuming, because Scrooge has now been employed at Fezziwig's shop, which sounds fun, but it must have something to do with financial vehicles of some sort, given Scrooge's overall trajectory. But it turns out Fezziwig is not so curmudgeonly, and they close up shop to have like a large corporate Christmas party, and Fan is there and Belle is there, and it appears that Scrooge and Belle are an item, and he tells her that he is saving that half a paycheck he gets to keep. He's saving it so they can start a life together. And she's like, look, man, like money isn't everything. Calm down about it. Also, I think it's funny during all of this, like what he's being shown, Scrooge, old Scrooge with the ghost, is like couching what they're all about to see. And like, he's like, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure her dad was a drinker or something like that. I think that's what it was, that he says multiple times about like Belle's father and family. For whatever reason, it has no bearing on what actually plays out, but he thinks it's important. We cut from there to the reading of Scrooge's dad's will, and it looks like he cut Fan out of the will entirely and left everything to good old Ebenezer. And shortly thereafter, Fan died in childbirth. giving birth to her son, which is the nephew that Scrooge is just shitting on in the beginning parts of this film.
Yeah, just constantly. Like again, I don't know if it just didn't age well. I guess it didn't, because I don't understand how these types of hardships made this man who he is.
No, he
Like,
seemed like he liked his sister too. Like, and all
like
those,
he
like,
liked his sister. He liked Belle. He liked money too, but like I figured that like he might be able to figure that out.
he didn't even like money in an enjoyable way. Like when he goes home, he's like at the height of his success when he's like robbing sick children's hospitals and shit. Like he goes home and eats shitty porridge in front of a fireplace in like an otherwise dark home. It doesn't even look extravagantly wealthy. It seems really shitty, like all the way around.
He's the guy you invite to a party who just spends all of his time on the couch on his cell phone looking at like Coinbase.
Ugh, terrible.
Or like Fidelity.
Yeah, look, that's a good that analogy struck home for me. That's a good one. I like that. That's gross, and that is the kind of person he is.
Yeah, of just like, yo, man, you know what you should invest in? Like this fucking stock here.
NFTs.
It pays like 9% on a dividend. Well, no, I feel like that's like a finance pro. Like NFTs are just like, I don't know
Finance
who is still pitching NFTs.
Oh my God,
Donald Trump is.
I was gonna say, did you not look at the news at all
Yes,
today?
I did. It's the funniest shit.
$99 NFT Trump trading cards, which are literally just a step above Ben Garrison drawing him with abs in every case. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, the man does crack me up entirely unintentionally. He's got like there's a cowboy one, there's a superhero one, there's an astronaut one, a football player one, a boxer one. It's honestly amazing.
It's Garbage Pail Kids with Trump.
Yes.
No, it's even worse. It's Will Ferrell movies. I think Donald Trump just wants Will Ferrell's career where he just gets cast in a different job for an hour and a half movie. And honestly, I'd watch those movies. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, that was something that gave me a little bit of a chuckle today. I will say, Rich, I think you hit the nail on the head with Scrooge being a libertarian, because he eventually proposes to Belle, and the proposal is in the form of a prenup agreement, which is just amazing. That made me laugh pretty hard too. Also, obviously, just a little word of warning to our listeners: if you're going to propose to somebody, don't do it in the form of a contract. That does not go over well. It's not particularly romantic.
Yeah, he didn't even ask her to marry. He was just like, hey, here's the prenup.
Yeah, well, no, it was like here is a contract that we can both sign, agreeing to get married, and what's going to happen with all of our money, my money, basically.
Yeah, he's just making her sign a prenup right away.
Yeah. It's regardless of what you think about the institute of marriage in general, or the fact that it's just loving somebody so much that you insist on getting the government involved. This is not the way to go about it. And of course, it doesn't work. Belle is very unhappy and calls off her relationship with Scrooge and leaves. I did think that the dialogue at this point was very specific. I don't know if it was trying to give some deeper indication of what their relationship was like, but Belle explicitly uses the language several times, like, I release you from your commitment, or I release you from your obligation, acting like this was essentially another future debt that Scrooge was accounting for, ahead of time.
I think she was just trying to speak in a language that he understood, since he was so mind poisoned by business.
Yeah, and I mean, and that makes sense too. It's just that the choice of language was so specific for a breakup. It did actually stand out to me. We're not giving a lot of credit to a bunch of parts of this film. I figured I'd call that one out specifically.
Yeah, dude is just red pilled as fuck at this point, and like so, on his way to the black pill.
I don't think we can give the movie credit for this. I'm fairly certain that is verbatim from the novella.
All right, well, we'll give old Tricky Dickens himself credit then for that one. But either way, like I said, that bit of dialogue stood out for me. I'm a little distracted because based on what Rich was saying, it was like, this guy sounds like a huge Andrew Tate fan. just all about chasing that money.
Oh my God. there's a guy at work who was talking about like, yo, do you ever hear this guy Andrew Tate? Like, I really respect him. I just had to walk away.
Oh
at
my
that
God.
point. He was talking about like he has to respect Andrew Tate and Elon Musk because they're both not taking any shit from the media. Do you see what he tweeted? My pronouns are prosecute Fauci. Like, number one, not pronouns. One is a proper noun and one is a verb. So you know what? Don't care.
I honestly, I hate, I've gotten to the point where I can't, if somebody at work came up and said that, have you ever heard of Andrew Tate? I really respect this guy. I would just start screaming. Just a primal scream until they got uncomfortable and walked away. I can't do this shit anymore. I can't explain these concepts to people over and over again.
At this point, that is the most reasonable response you can possibly give for that.
If you say a sentence like that, it's just gonna provoke a visceral reaction from me. I don't know what to do anymore. I don't have any control over it. My doctor's trying out different medications to see if we can rein it in, but I'm just saying, if you see me on the streets, please don't come up and say that shit to me because I'm gonna lose it.
I just walk away. This man is like 55 years old.
That's even worse. That's so much worse. That is so much worse. I'm not saying that age actually translates into, actionable experience in life in general. People walk different paths, but you should, at a certain point, you should fucking know better. And it's crazy that you don't. Ooh, God. Back to more palatable subject matter, like this real snoozer of a film. So after Belle dumps Scrooge, the ghost is like, you get the fucking point, and drops him back off into bed. Scrooge goes like right back to sleep, but
as you do after a ghost visit.
Look, it seems
It
exhausting.
tuckered him out.
Yeah, it seems exhausting. I don't hold this one against him. But the bell tolls, and it's time for another ghost. And this is the Dumbledore ghost, who is a big jolly man with like a beard and like a holly crown and like an open gold robe. Like, think a really, really fancy Tony Soprano, right? And he opens in much the same way with a spread, just a full spread of, like meats and fruits and orange juice with some pulp.
He's got the sopressata, he's got the gabagool, he's got a nice parm on the table.
Yeah,
he's got himself a gun.
Yeah.
He woke up this morning and did that,
But yeah, no, the most important part though, as you said, is he has the orange juice with some pulp. He doesn't like a lot of pulp, but some pulp.
Exactly.
Which is counterintuitive to my Italian relatives who are all about that Grove stand asked too much pulp orange juice.
I love too much pulp.
I like pulpy orange juice, man.
Especially, oh yeah. It's the good stuff. I'm with them, honestly.
Yeah, give me a drink I can chew. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's look, bubble tea is exploding in popularity, and that's because everybody wants a drink they can chew. Okay. Extra pulp orange juice did it first, did it best.
Yeah, look, finance bros, you get on your fucking Robinhood and your fucking Fidelity and I don't know, probably Coinbase, and invest in bubble tea.
No, invest in orange juice.
It's coming back. Everything circles back around. You get the imitations, and they come in for a while, and then we circle right back to the originals, baby.
Yeah, just buy stock in Tropicana.
Just pulp.
Just buy stock.
Buy stock. Got shares in Tang. Sell.
Cash out your Litecoin and your Dogecoin and your Monero, and invest in our Patreon, www.patreon.com/NickCageFight. Bam! Got it that time.
That was good. That was fucking seamless. I didn't even see that one coming. I was working on a joke about being, heavily leveraged in pulp futures, but that was a good ad pivot. I like that.
Your futures should be in Nick Cage and the Nick Cage Fight podcast, because for your hard-earned money, you can get episodes with no ads. You can get additional episodes. You can get live streams of us losing our minds. I think we have to do a rewatch of like some of the older stuff too, like the stuff that we really hated. Not next, because that's
I was gonna say we all know what you're fucking talking about.
No, not next, because that's like a Patreon level. That's like we get 30 people and you have to watch next on like a 12-hour loop, I think is what the agreed upon statement was.
Yeah.
I think we could turn G-Force into a drinking game. I think that would be a fun stream.
That would be.
Yeah, we could definitely do that.
To be fair, my note-taking process includes turning every Nick Cage film into a drinking game. And I win that game every time. Because the goal is to finish my notes and have a lot of drinks.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of how you got to do it. But yeah, like for $5 a month, you get additional stuff. It's kind of cool. And then, you give more money, you get more stuff. But the $5 a month one is the one I like the most. And that you, as a consumer, should also like the most.
It is the most bang for your buck. And it does count towards making Ryan speedrun G-Force, finally dethroning Chris Gamer, who has been sitting on his high guinea pig for too long. So, yeah, subscribe to the Patreon. Can I pivot back to the plot now?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was just
no. I'm just making sure. I wasn't sure if we wanted to horrify another sponsor or
you know what?
ad.
I guess we should just do that now. Just do it all in one shot and just be like, hey, here's some ads that hopefully is for Andrew Tate, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. If this is for an Andrew Tate ad, fuck Andrew Tate. Don't listen to him. If it's for Oreos, they're all right.
They're just rip off Hydrox.
Well, I mean, but they look, they did it best. Everybody knows fucking Oreos. You know what I'm saying?
They marketed best, but Hydrox is the superior cookie.
Sure, but they're not as experimental as Oreos. They have every kind of Oreo now, even absurd stuff that nobody has asked for, like wasabi filled Oreos. I think. Anyway, here's an ad for wasabi filled Oreos.
But I need those.
I completely made that up, but I wouldn't put it past them. And we're back.
And wasabi Oreos exist.
Wait, is that what you did during the ad break? You looked up wasabi Oreos?
Very explicitly, yes.
This episode brought to you by Wasabi Oreos. Buy them for some reason.
Wait, can we order it? Can we order a box and I'll try them?
They were a limited edition release for the 100th anniversary of the Oreo.
All right, eBay it is, because I'm gonna find this shit.
That's so odd. That's so odd. Speaking of eBay, I was looking for Christmas presents for my co-hosts, and there is some interesting stuff on there related to Nicolas Cage. Just letting you guys know. If you get bored, that's some fun scrolling.
I just want to let everybody know that if you eBay wasabi Oreos, you can get some from China. They're $7 a box.
What? That is oddly affordable for a limited run weird cookie that I can't see people actually genuinely being interested in as a tasty treat.
And of course, my favorite, I just scrolled down a little bit. My favorite thing is exotic snacks mystery bundles. I feel like that's kind of like when you first start playing Magic the Gathering and you buy repacks thinking that it's going to be like a steal, and then it's like you just get scammed out of $50 because they just put in the same bulk rare into every pack.
You know, it's funny. I for my fiance for most Christmases, I try and get her for her stocking like snacks from all around the world, and sometimes it works out really well, and sometimes it does not. Like for instance, one year I think I got her like Japanese snacks, and they have these things called like salad sticks. They're like savory mini breadsticks, like you get like what they coat in chocolate for like the Pockies and stuff like that, and they're really fucking good.
Those are great dipped into soups. Actually, I get those at the Asian market all the time.
Oh, they're awesome. There's a lot of good stuff in there. But then last year, I think I got a pack from somewhere in South America, and they use a lot of chili powder and tamarind. Those are their two favorite flavors, and they mix those flavors almost exclusively.
Oh, don't forget about lime. Lime's usually in
lime
mix
too. Yes. In fact, I think one of the candies was just lime salt. I think it was just lime flavored salt that you just pour on your tongue. That one wasn't as popular, but I found it very interesting. I like a weird treat every now and again. Spicy treats, not so much. I would say probably the weirdest one that I enjoy is the Swedes have a tendency to put salt on black licorice. I love black licorice. I know that's not a thing for most people, but adding this weird salt-like substance that isn't salt to it does kick it up. So if you ever get a chance to try it, You might hate it, but it's an experience. So speaking of experiences, Scrooge is snatched up by this Tony Soprano ghost to go take a look at Christmas Present. This is a really super trippy scene. This is what we've talked about a couple of times leading up to this, where the animation sort of just goes fucking crazy.
It's like a slideshow for most of it. It gave me a migraine.
I thought it looked a bit like an impressionist painting. It's like big colorful strokes of like brush strokes across the screen. We get a couple of very specific vignettes. Oh, by the way, the whole time they're like flying around, Tony Soprano Ghost is just blasting people with his cornucopia that just has the power to make your Christmas merry. Interesting magical weapon. I don't know how useful it is in a fight, but there you go. Scrooge even fires off a couple of blasts of Christmas cheer from this thing. They do swing by Scrooge's nephew's Christmas party, where they're clowning on Scrooge specifically. I think they're playing some type of guessing game, and Scrooge is the subject. But his nephew comes to his defense and says, look, he is how he is, but he's still family. I'm going to invite him to Christmas every year. They also stop in on old Joe and his crew repossessing a bunch of shit from a family that owes Scrooge money. I think
there's
this is
a lot going on in this scene.
Yeah. Well, the weirdest part with the Ghost of Christmas Present is coming up, but I do think the old Joe scene is a little bit important because this is the first time Scrooge is being forced to witness the results of his business practices, which does seem to bother him a little bit. This next part bothers him a little bit more, which is understandable because it bothered the shit out of me, where the Ghost of Christmas Present shows Scrooge two weird, gaunt, poorly drawn children called Want and Ignorance. And it's supposed to be some sort of lesson about humanity or something. I missed all that because ignorance decays into a skull which crumbles into dust, like right in front of Scrooge's face. I don't know what the point of that was other than to be bizarre and make me uncomfortable.
It was one of the coolest parts of the movie.
Cool, sure, but I know it was tied to some sort of lesson. I don't know what that lesson is other than kids are creepy when you use them in this fashion in animation.
Kids are creepy. They be creeping.
Yeah.
This movie does have the problem I find with a lot of animation that's not like kind of professional, where all the kids kind of look like full-grown adults that they just shrunk down a little bit.
Tiny old people.
This man has never seen a child in his life.
Yeah. After the weird Want and Ignorance scene, we check in on the Cratchits. Tiny Tim is still sick. It's kind of his thing. But
he's known
Bob,
for. He's known for being sick.
Yeah. I mean, at least he's got a bit, But Bob Cratchit attempts to toast Scrooge, and his wife is like, "That's fucking nonsense. Like, this guy's a dick." And Bob is like, "Yeah, but like he's kept me employed for 14 years. Like, we don't have a lot, but at least we got this." And she's like, "She threw water on our asthmatic, chronically ill son for the crime of singing a Christmas song outside his window."
To be fair, most Christmas carols suck shit.
Look, I get it. I am annoyed by them to a certain extent. I don't like raining on people's parades. If you feel strongly enough, if you find enough enjoyment to walk around singing and shit, even if it doesn't have your necessarily intended effect of bringing cheer to me, I don't have it in my heart to express my displeasure. Certainly not with a bucket of water. It seems excessive. At this point, though, Scrooge actually expresses some concern about Tiny Tim, and asks if, he's going to survive. And the Ghost Christmas Present is like, that's not my bag, baby. You don't want to talk to the next guy. And so Present takes off, and it looks like it's time for the Ghost of Christmas Future. And holy shit. So the first two ghosts are a little bit off-putting. The Ghost of Christmas Future is just the fucking Grim Reaper.
Yeah, he looks like Kanye West when he went on the InfoWars and he was just wearing the mask. And you're just like, that's Kanye's voice, but can we really be sure it's Kanye? Sorry, I'm just gonna work Kanye West into a lot of our podcast from this point forward.
So I do have a question about this. I'm not a Christmas Carol expert by any stretch of the imagination. I know the Ghost of Christmas Future is always depicted as like the scariest one. Is he always a fucking Grim Reaper?
Yes.
Yes, he always is. And his actual name, which they never really use, is Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come.
Oh, okay. Why? Why is he always a harbinger of death? Like, not every Christmas that occurs in the future is bad. What is this ghost's job?
So
Death is
this
inevitable. That's the whole thing.
I'm about to say death is inevitable. Well, that's what Ryan said. What I was going to say is there's a bit in the movie that I told you to watch, Spirited, where they explain as to why it's always a Grim Reaper and why it's always scary, because they do this every year and they pick the worst person in the world to do it to try to like redeem them. So they always have a script they follow. And the script you see in like a Christmas Carol is the script they basically always follow. Like, show them the past, show them how they got to where they are, show them where they're at now, show them how their misdeeds are fucking things up, and then show them that like you're gonna die because you suck and nobody's gonna care.
Where is the ghost of happy Christmases that occur in the future? Is he just like really pissed that he didn't get the job because they're just using this to scare fucking people?
Probably. I mean, that's what I would think. It's like, if you're a good person doing good things, you don't need three ghosts to come around to be like, hey, buddy, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, but why not? I mean, sometimes it's nice to get a little bit of validation for doing good stuff. Like, do these ghosts ever visit people who are like really nice and really go all out on Christmas? And there's like, this was the super awesome Christmas you had back in like 98. And you're like, yeah, that was awesome. It's like, this is the super awesome Christmas you're going to have this year. And I'm like, dope, that's awesome. And then a nice ghost is like, you are going to have like a jetpack Christmas 20 years from now. And it's going to be fucking fantastic.
And you're going to live.
That rocks.
You're going to live to be 97. You're never going to go into a retirement home. You're always going to like know what's going on, and you're going to die peacefully in your sleep.
Surrounded by friends and family on Christmas.
Yes.
Maybe.
Who
maybe then maybe I guess the Grim Reaper is still appropriate in that situation. I don't know.
Yeah, but like maybe have him wear like a lei or something. Like he's here to party.
Yeah, or like a fun hat or something.
And then,
Anyway.
yeah, the best interpretation of that is like the I don't know if either of you have read any of the Discworld books, but the death in that is kind of a fun character. He's just a Grim Reaper, but you know, he parties. He likes cats. He can fuck up some curry.
I like a Grim Reaper who fucks.
Sorry, I just can't help but be reminded of the webcomic where it's like the Grim Reaper shows up and the guy's like, I'm not ready to go. And it cuts to the Grim Reaper and he's like, nobody's really truly ready. And it cuts back to the guy and he's just got a cool hoodie on. He's like, now I'm ready. Anyway, so the Grim Reaper shows up. No words from this ghost. He is here just to deliver very terrifying object lessons. So he shows Scrooge the Cratchits in the wake of Tiny Tim dying. That family is having a hard time with that one. Kid doesn't make it all the way to next Christmas. Also, weirdly, despite the obviousness of the place and time, I mean, all of these points in the timeline are about Christmas. Scrooge is confused as to when this shit is supposedly happening. He then gets shown scenes of people celebrating Scrooge's own death, and Scrooge gets nice and freaked out about the concept of his own mortality. And then Marley shows back up to yank on the chains that have wrapped around Scrooge's ghostly form, very much in the same vein as Marley's, and the scene then fades and Scrooge is back in bed.
Yeah, and these people are really celebrating. They are robbing his house blind.
It was like me when like Rush Limbaugh died.
Yeah, well, you did famously go to Rush Limbaugh's house and rob it. So
yeah, look, allegedly,
I'm not saying that. Yeah,
but yeah. So Scrooge wakes up, obviously a new man. That's the point of the fucking story, I guess. But despite all this, and this did crack me up a little bit. Like, he opens the window and he still manages to be a dick to the kid outside. He's like, I don't even remember exactly what he says. He's like, what day is it? He's like, it's Christmas Day, I think. He's like this Christmas. He's like, listen here, you little shit.
I think I remember how it went. He asked what day it is, and then he's like, hey, I'm fucking talking to you, basically.
Yeah, that Tony Soprano really rubbed off on him. Like, hey, I'm talking here.
Oh, but it's funny because apparently like the life lessons did not do anything to dampen the knee-jerk reaction, just be an overwhelming asshole to people. He does catch himself. He's like, listen, I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna throw some money out the window at you, and you're gonna go buy a goose, like a proper goose, which is apparently a turkey. Is that how that goes? Is a turkey a kind of goose?
I have no idea. I was also a bit flummoxed by that line.
I don't know. I mean, the only thing I can think of is that fucking Lonely Island song where they keep singing about boiled goose.
Yeah, I honestly I don't know because he instructs the kid. He's like, go get a goose, a proper goose, and by proper goose I mean turkey. I'm like, now I'm just fucking confused. If I was that kid, I would have just taken the money and ran.
You know, he doesn't know who I am.
Yeah, just a random street urchin. So Scrooge then sets off, essentially being, nice to everyone, but especially the Cratchits. He even does a nice little dance with the two ghosts that aren't the fucking Grim Reaper himself, and sheds a tear listening to some Christmas carols. So we cut to Nurse Bell, who's sort of crying as she's walking through the closed down children's hospital. Scrooge goes to visit old Joe and try and undo some of the damage he was responsible for, but it's too late. Old Joe gives him a sack of coins that he collected, and Scrooge promptly takes those coins and gives them to the man who was begging in the early part of the film with the dog. And then as he gets home, Belle confronts him on his doorstep. She yells at him about the hospital closing down, and Scrooge breaks down and is basically like, I'd trade everything to undo, all this horrible shit that I did. And then the next day, Cratchit is running late for work. He scrambles to get there on time. The doctor gets released from prison and checks up on Tiny Tim. And when Cratchit arrives at work, Scrooge starts off by yelling at him about being late, but he's apparently just fucking with him. He switches immediately into saying that he's going to quadruple his salary, gives him an office like Marley's old office that has been sitting literally unused and covered in cobwebs and dust since Marley fucking died, while Cratchit has just been set up sort of like right by the front door with this teeny tiny desk. And then also says he's essentially going to make him a partner in the business. And then we get a postscript from the live action Dickens saying Scrooge made good on turning his life around, and Tiny Tim got better, and Scrooge was basically like a second father to him. And then he wraps it up, brings the whole thing full circle, and says that the mice that were involved in this story tangentially then got on a boat and traveled to the New World and scared a woman in the front row of this very playhouse. And we get some more bad CGI mice, and then there you go, classic Christmas tale.
A+, not really.
D-.
Yeah, I'm not. Again, this isn't my cup of tea specifically. I like the Muppets Christmas Carol, but even then, that is as close to a normal Christmas movie that is on my Christmas watch list.
Now, I would like to talk about a good Christmas movie, Tokyo Godfathers. I had to wash the stink of this film out of my mouth. It's a tragic comic story of three homeless people who find a baby on Christmas Eve. And if you want to know more, watch the movie. It's excellent.
So it's about people who find a baby on Christmas Eve.
Very explicitly, and they're trying to find the baby's mother, and hijinks ensue. It's a humanist, very kind of beautiful story that's well animated, unlike Christmas Carol. It's well written, unlike Christmas Carol. And it's written by Satoshi Kon, the guy who did Paranoia Agent, Perfect Blue, Paprika, and Millennium Actress, all very well-regarded pieces of animation.
Gotcha. Wait, isn't Perfect Blue that really, really dark one about the pop idol who goes into movies?
Yes, and it's about her stalker, and
Yeah.
It's kind of a horror story. Yes, that is specifically that film.
Oh, geez.
Huh.
I can only imagine where the baby Christmas story goes from there.
It's the only lighthearted one he did other than Paprika. Everything else he does is horrifying in a good way.
All right. So yeah, like my must watch every my fiance likes Elf. We'll put on Elf. It's fine. It's one of those Will Ferrell career movies where his career is being an elf. But the main thing I watch, the theme of my Christmases, is the Always Sunny in Philadelphia Christmas episode, which is one of my fucking favorites. And they do a little nod to the Christmas Carol in that. But yeah, I mean, and overall,
Well, yeah, I mean, who can forget that classic Dickens line? Did you fuck my mom, Santa?
oh my God,
Santa, did you fuck my mom?
Frank crawling out of the leather couch, butt naked, throwing rocks at trains, getting drunk on Christmas.
Always got to throw rocks on trains. I mean, getting drunk on Christmas is a traditional thing. Christmas was like a big revelry prior to it being kind of whitewashed by the Coca-Cola Corporation.
Yeah, there you go. Bring back Saturnalia's in place of Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this movie wasn't my favorite that we've watched so far. Very, very straightforward animation, not super mind-blowing. It was a Christmas Carol. If you like a Christmas Carol, watch the Muppets Christmas Carol. I don't think you're really missing much by not seeing this one. Not
Yeah,
sure what else
because
to
like
say
Nick
about it.
Cage is only in about a minute and a half of it.
Watch Nick Cage's Marley scene, and you can clue into the fact that he really does make an attempt when he does voice work for animated films. That's my opinion. I'm actually more excited now to see like the other shit that we've been putting off, which was what, like the Crudes and the Ant Boy.
Yeah,
Astro Boy. I'm excited for that.
Well,
one.
Astro
love
Boy
me
I
some
was already
Astro Boy.
excited for. That I'm looking forward to. But just in general, like the man does a voice. I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm a little bit sick of people who do voices for animated or CGI movies, and it's just a famous voice. Just do a funny voice.
That's
goddammit.
fucking Disney's fault, though. They just kept casting people that aren't actually voice actors in their animated movies.
Yeah,
when there
I'm
is
looking-
an entire industry of voice actors who do not get enough work or are paid well enough.
Yeah, I'm looking at you, Chris Pratt. Just put on a fake Italian accent. That's all I need.
It's a
They
meat.
could have just
Mario.
given it to Charles Martinet. It's a him. He's a Mario.
Yeah,
All right,
actually,
it's time for my favorite part of the fucking episode, though,
go for it.
because I love ranking things. Now, I know this movie is better than Next.
No, it's pretty rank.
Nope.
No, you're gonna say all right. I was gonna say this is
Next
bottom of the list.
Explicitly designed to upset. This is bland. This is offensive in its blandness. It's not explicitly trying to harm my mental health.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'd rather be angry at a movie than bored, and this made me bored to tears.
Well, I was gonna say it's not better than G-Force, right? You'd rather watch G-Force
Oh, absolutely!
than
I'd rather.
Yeah, I'd
I'm
absolutely
gonna
watch
rewatch
G-Force
G-Force
again.
just to spite this movie.
this. I mean, yeah. So I'm putting Next and then Christmas Carol. Performance. I mean, bottom of the barrel. We have again Next and G-Force. I feel like it's right in between those two.
I think if we're talking about Cage's performance, I think it was a little bit cooler than G-Force, just barely, but like
Okay.
you know, he's a
I would
Ghost.
put it. I would put it just under G-Force. I'm actually surprised that we put his it's tough with these, but like, I mean, he really did. He did the whole nasally, star-nosed shrew or whatever mole he was.
I think the general consensus with G-Force was we're going to put it there for now and then relitigate during the ranking episode, because I think we all agree that G-Force is probably
one of the worst movies, but maybe not his worst performance.
No, I think it's a better performance than like Ghost Rider.
See, that I would quibble with.
I disagree with that. I think you're not
that's
getting
where
any
it's
traction
at.
on that one.
That's where it's at. It goes Next, G-Force, then Christmas Carol, then Ghost Rider.
Where I gotta look where we are, because this next ranking episode might end up being a fucking 3-part. It's gonna be a bloodbath. I don't know. I don't know how contentious it's gonna get. I'm assuming very, because we are going to have to shuffle everything on the list and account for all these new ones. I think there's gonna be some yelling. I know there's gonna be some crying. Okay, yeah, we have one more movie before we have to do this monstrous ranking episode. These are only going to get more complicated and angry as we go on. But yeah, no, I'd put G-Force over it just because, he did a good ghost voice, but I think he did a better mole voice.
I think by just volume of Nick Cage, G-Force has more of it anyway.
Yeah, he had more of a chance to shine. Marley was quick, very to the point. Get in, get out, cash that paycheck.
Unhinged scene. I feel like this is probably the least unhinged.
I'd say the unhinged scene is that segment of animation that was barely animated. It made my head actually hurt, and that's pretty unhinged.
No. We're talking about a Nick Cage scene. There's only one Nick Cage scene in this movie.
2. Marley does show up at the end for one line.
Oh, there is a line.
Yank the
Okay.
chain.
I feel like it's the least unhinged scene we have seen.
Yeah, there's really nothing unhinged there.
It's a story that's been retold for like 180 years. There's nothing to unhinge about it.
Yeah, which is why I'm also putting this at the bottom for unhinged film.
Yeah. Oh, it's the most boring and well-hinged version of this story I've ever seen.
Yeah,
And then,
no disagreement.
And then hair, it's going above G4 since he actually played a human who once had hair. But actually, I don't know, because a mole has more hair.
Mole has hair? I'd give it to G-Force for this. This is bottom of the barrel.
All right.
Yeah, I don't remember what Marley's hair even looks like in this one.
He's just a guy.
It's ghostly.
Yeah, he's just a dude.
All right, so we have it for movies and performance. Next is still lower. For unhinged scene, unhinged film, and hair, Christmas Carol is the new lowest champion.
Yeah.
I have no complaints. That's absolutely correct, I think.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree there.
So we have to do a movie next week, guys.
Oh, please be a good one. We've had 2 bad ones in the past month.
It's so, and it's also the last movie of the calendar year 2022. Because it's going to be released on the 27th and the 30th. So let's see what it is. Ooh, we have a high chance of Nick Cage butt in this one.
Oh shit! Yeah, the nudity ranking list needs some more entries.
Zandali, baby.
Is that an erotic thriller?
It is an erotic thriller.
I remember hearing that's definitely going to have some nudity, some Nick Cage nudity. But didn't fucking Port of Call have some nudity and we didn't rank that one?
No, there was no Nick Cage nudity. You're thinking
of
all right,
the
so
hanging
dong in the original.
He's shirtless. Okay,
yeah,
right.
He's shirtless, but I mean, frankly, he was more nude in whatchamacallit, Valley Girl than Bad Lieutenant.
That is very
fair.
Yeah.
Oh, I like his facial hair in this. This is gonna end up kind of high on the hair ranking, I think.
I think so too, and he's versus Judge Reinhold, it looks like, in this one.
Oh boy!
Oh, I need to.
His hair is
Joey Pants is in this one, and Steve Buscemi. Oh shit! This is gonna be a good time.
Whoa! Okay, I didn't realize Joey Pants was in this, and Marissa Tomei.
All right, even if this is bad, I think it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, I don't know why I haven't heard of this. This is
It would appear because it was originally an NC-17, and those movies do not get any press at all, ever, unless it's like fucking Showgirls.
all right. Well, I'm just saying this is just from the little Jesus. The trailer is a little spicy, but I'm gonna tell you that the hair in this is going to be a contender for the #1 spot.
Well, I'm looking at Judge Reinhold's mustache, and it's glorious.
Yeah, but Nick Cage's facial hair is like the Toyota symbol. It's just he's got the little bit coming down the chin and just a very full-bodied upper lip mustache going on and long hair. Jesus. All right. I'm strapped in. I'm ready for the erotic thriller.
We got long hair Cage? Hell yeah.
Long hair with interesting facial hair. That's going to be a tough combination to beat. I don't know
That's
if you guys
duo.
We will go over it in the ranking episodes, but I don't know if you guys have been properly factoring in facial hair to our hair ranking, but it counts. And if he shows enough bare chest in the film, his chest hair has to count too. It's all Cage hair, baby.
That's all that matters.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, this is gonna be
fun.
So weird.
It's gonna be weird describing erotic scenes to all of you loyal listeners. But I'm gonna do my best to make it sexy. You got to make it sexy, otherwise you don't eat.
We're gonna do it.
So it looks like this was technically a straight to video in the US. It did get some theatrical releases, but I think this does technically count. I love those perverts. They're always releasing good shit in theaters.
Well, yeah, that wraps Christmas Carol and sets the stage for the next probably hottest episodes we'll do. Certainly the hottest episodes in the calendar year. In the meantime,
After Dark.
Yeah, there you go. follow us on social media while we still have a Twitter account. You can find us at cagefight_pod. Tell us what your favorite erotic thriller is, or shit on Christmas Carol, or praise Christmas Carol. I don't care.
Is it fucked that I do have an answer to that?
Your favorite erotic thriller?
Yeah, it's Betty Blue with Beatrice Dahl. The movie rules.
Okay. All right. We need more. We need to see if there's a consensus on this. So go on our Twitter. Tell us what you like in your erotic thriller movies.
Let us kink shame you. You know you want it.
You know that your kink is being kink shamed.
That's basically a superpower.
It's just a supercharged like humiliation kink, basically.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's what's going on with you.
You're all a bunch of little piggies. Does that do it for you?
Yeah. I'm very curious to see how this next episode is going to go for us.
I think I might be looking ahead because I am very excited for the ranking episode because these 22 movies, you're right, it's going to be a bloodbath.
It's going to be a straight up fist fight, I think, in some of these categories. I'm gonna set up a spreadsheet for us to fill out because the way we did it last time, that was our first swing at it. I was giving it 1 out of 5 stars, and you were explicitly ranking 1 through whatever. I say all 3 of us do both.
Okay.
You can quarter your stars, no weirder fractions from there, but do the star rankings first in each category and then try and assign a number there, and we'll see where we all land.
Sounds good to me.
I'm going to fight with myself because like this middle of the pack on this list is real tough.
We're going to have to find some daylight, and we're going to have to justify it, not just to each other, but to the listeners. So I think I'm going to end up having to do more preparation for that episode than any other episode. We'll see. But before we say goodbye, what's our Patreon again?
Patreon.com/NickCageFight. Give us money, make Ryan play video games. That's
we'll
pitch.
do stuff.
That's the pitch.
Yeah, we will subject ourselves to things for money. That's actually the podcast motto.
Yeah, we still haven't come up with my Patreon punishment though, because with Ryan at 10, it is speed running G-Force. With you at 30, it's 12 hours of Next. We need to do a 20 with me, and I don't know what to do.
We'll figure it out. We will find something that is just as psychologically damaging as what Ryan and I have signed on for. So, happy holidays, everyone. Thank you for listening as always, and of course, we appreciate you.
Bye-bye.